Bears got the best of me. Said bears on my fantasy. Said bears ain't what I like. We do it all night, all right. Bears that don't discriminate. I take a carbon chop to circumnavigate. Steal my heart and let it percolate all night, all right. Bears got the best of me. Said bears on my fantasy. Said bears ain't what I like. We do it all night, all right. Bears.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Bears of a Certain Age. It is Wednesday, September 20th, right here. With me, as always, my lovely co-producer and co-host, Mr. Jonny. How we doing, buddy?
Oh, hello. I am here. Do you ever have one of those days where you're just a grumpy bear?
You know, we all have those days on occasion, right?
Yeah.
I'm still recovering from last week's live. I mean, that was too much stress for me. I
But
liked
so
it.
fun.
It's fun. I think we have to do it more often.
I agree.
But the whole live thing's a little stressful, right?
I always tell people, because you've done it in the past, I cut my teeth in radio that was live. And so there is an exhilaration, but there's also, I'm a control freak, so you have very little control.
Right. That's it. I did my show for 5 years, all live radio for it, except for a couple pre-taped interviews. And it is very...
Yeah, because you have no idea.
Very scary, but it's fun. Like I said, there's no editing involved. Sorry, Kurt, but I don't want to have to worry about editing. I just put it out there and it's done for the week, right?
Yes. And then you get to go take a nap or go have lunch with your friends. Did you have so first of all, I hate FCC having to deal with their crap. And that's one of the biggest when you do live is to watch. But the other thing is that 7-second delay button that you have to be so ready to hit in case your guest decides to drop an F-bomb or whatever. It's why I always let my guests know you can say fuck as much as you want. This is a different world. Different world.
There you go.
Yeah.
I have never done live radio, but the FCC book is like that thick of things you can't do on live radio. So we have a little bit of advantage here in the podcast world.
And if a listener who isn't really a regular listener just doesn't like you, they can lodge a complaint and FCC will do an investigation just because and they can fake anything. It's awful. It is awful. I don't miss it.
That sounds like we're doing in school boards these days and things like that. You have two parents trying to ban every book in school.
Exactly. Did you see, I saw a meme the other day and it was this teacher who goes in to find, can I please see the banned book list? And then the next frame, she's at her class saying, this is your reading list for the year. And I'm like, that's my kind of teacher. I love that.
I love that. Well, we did have so much fun last Wednesday. Thanks for everyone that kind of sent in questions and called in. We'll do this from time to time. I mean, we just have to coordinate our schedule, 3-hour time difference, and when we can do it. But it was a lot of fun for us. Thank you guys all. Be sure to send everything. Keep sending it to podcastbears@gmail.com. We're able to get a lot of material from that. And it was fun.
Find us and like us on Instagram, too. Very important to like us. Like us on Instagram.
There you go. And if you're not watching us live, if you're watching on your favorite podcast, we're everywhere. Amazon Music, we're on Audible, you got iTunes, iHeartRadio. For some reason, it takes like 24 hours to trickle down to iHeartRadio. I don't know.
I feel like that's very corporate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But you can find us there. And when you find us, give us that little follow button or give us a 5-star review for the episode you're listening to, because that way other people find us. And that's always kind of...
Listen, we're like good hoes. We are everywhere. So, sex positivity. Go.
Exactly.
Love it.
Well, I mean, plus, we're getting ourselves out there. I mean, this past week was a great big event down in Key West, Florida for Bigger Bears that we were invited to kind of last minute. We didn't have time to kind of shift our schedules on, but thank you so much for the invite. And
it was nice to think about us.
We met them on Instagram. We're going to try to be there next year for the event and everything, but they're doing a great old time down in Key West. Have you been down to Key West?
No, and I want to so bad. I'd get in so much trouble.
I've never been to Florida. I haven't been anywhere in Florida. So that's I do want to go there more in the wintertime because I'm not in the humidity and bugs in the summer. And no place
And
with a swamp where there's an alligator involved. That's not cool.
right, no. And also you're out of hurricane season.
Yeah, there you go.
That helps as well. And
Yeah.
who, if you're gay, wants to go to Florida right now, but send me to Key West for a gay weekend, I'm fine with that.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I love. I mean, I see it every year on the New Year's Eve when they drop the big stiletto heel down every
Yeah.
year by the drag queen Spoon It Forever. I mean,
Yeah.
I've always wanted to go down there, just not made it.
I have a lot of through the years I have a lot of fans from Florida, and let's just say I'd love to meet them in person. So they've got
Next year
some
we'll be
good
down there.
stuff.
I mean, this weekend coming up is Bear World's big weekend down in Florida.
Yeah.
They do Orlando, and same thing. We were just didn't work schedule wise for us to get them this year. But
First year, everybody start getting your things in now, because next year we could be booked like every month, and we'll take it.
there you go. Start
Yeah.
those requests. We're there for
Yeah.
you because that'll be fun. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun to go down to these things and kind of share space and talk to all these great people that are down there.
Right?
Fun.
They seem to have so much fun that it makes me like what's that word? I have FOMO.
There you go.
Even though
I like
I'm constantly busy up here doing stuff, still I feel like, oh, I want to go do that too. So lots of good
This
stuff.
is one year too. I mean, we talk about Florida and all these great places and everything. This is the one year I didn't really travel this summer.
Yeah.
It was hot everywhere. I was busy doing a lot of stuff. My mom wasn't feeling good. I told you I take care of my 84-year-old
Yeah.
mom. Usually I go to the gay campgrounds. I didn't hit one gay campground. I mean, we've already hit Labor Day weekend, and
I
it's
know.
like I don't feel like I really went anywhere this summer.
This has been an odd. It's better than the 2020 season, but it still
Right.
felt a little odd for I think a lot of people. But I did talk to a lot of friends who did the whole gay campground circuit, and they just ended on Labor Day weekend. And
Right.
so, but I heard it was an amazing summer. I'm like, see, so much I'm missing right now.
You made it all the way to Idaho. How far is Idaho from you? You went into where you were in
Not
charge
that
of
far.
the
I'm
MC
Eastern Washington.
Pride.
Yeah, and that was fun. Well, I would say Sandpoint was like an hour and a half.
Is it that close?
That's
Okay.
because we're Eastern Washington, where we're located. We are maybe 45 minutes from Coeur d'Alene, which is the big resort town in Idaho. We're so close. Like, we're too
Nice.
close. Because let's just admit that Idaho can be pretty, but it's almost as bad as Florida. So when it comes to queer rights and all that stuff, so
Right.
sometimes we're too close for comfort, but it is right there. Yeah.
That's why I am right here on the Ohio-Pennsylvania border. I'm right in between the two states there. So I could drive 5 miles down the road and be Pennsylvania.
Right.
So
I was in, where was I? I was in Philly. I had my job sent me to Philly for about 10 days, and I had a lot of fun though. It's very industrial and working-ish, you know what I mean?
Right.
That vibe, but it was a lot of fun to be there. I enjoyed it.
I've driven through Philly. I've never been there. I hear it's a great city.
Yeah.
I love myself a good Philly cheesesteak, but I've just not been and spent any time there. We've talked about, I've kind of lived all over. You've lived all over. I lived in Springfield, Pennsylvania, and Enfield, Connecticut, which are right next door to each other as well.
No.
They're like 10 miles apart.
Yeah.
And so I would drive down from there. It was about a 3.5 hour drive to New York City, and then another hour and a half to Atlantic City. So I would go down to those two places on occasion. The 2 year I lived there, but that's about it.
It's weird because until I went there, I didn't realize how close it is to that East Coast states. I had no idea.
Right.
I also discovered you guys love Wawas, and so I discovered Wawa, which is crazy. But every month,
it's kind of the only
Wawa.
That was one thing I didn't know. Like I said, I always considered myself banished to Northeast Ohio after living in California for 29 years. But that's the one thing here that's kind of cool. California, I can drive 10 hours and be in California. Here I can drive 10 hours and hit like 12 states.
Right,
So it's kind of cool.
I like how, I think when I moved to LA, we drove it, and it was 17 hours to get to LA, and that's Southern California. So it's not far from us over here at all.
Have you taken a train down the coast yet, ever?
No, but I want to. You can take a wine train down the coast where it's all curated. You're gonna have wine all the way. I need that train. That's my next one.
That I have not seen. I've done
Yeah.
regular Amtrak from Portland, Oregon down to Southern California. So
Yeah.
it's beautiful going down along the rivers into the mountains there, along the ocean. But I've not done a wine tour. That
Oh,
sounds
that is
exciting.
what I want to do. Now, when I was 17, I had an album out and I was going to meet with a record company in Nashville, Tennessee. Well, I was a poor young 17-year-old, perfect for country music. And I took the train in the middle of winter from the central Washington all the way down. Winter, there was ice on the tracks. The trains in front of us fell off the train. It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but we made it to Nashville. But so trains, I'm not a big fan of, only because I had the worst experience you could have, on there. But we made it to Nashville. We sang and all that good stuff. But so crazy. Yeah.
We'll have to talk about that one show because I've had some really horrible train adventures as well. But my mom swears by it. My mom doesn't like to fly anymore.
Yeah.
She can't handle the long road trips.
Yeah.
So for her, she just gets a sleeper car and she sleeps for 2.5 days and she's a happy camper.
My mom
I don't have that patience.
Yeah, my mom's the same way. Exactly. But I feel like, when was the last time your mom took a train ride?
Probably 3 years ago.
Not bad. I was going to say, back in the day, trains were luxury travel and it was much better.
Right.
Now I feel like they want to throw you in the luggage rack and you hope for the best. It's not as good.
And they're pricey now too. I mean, they used to be relatively cheap back in the day. I mean, they were like Amtrak travel compared to planes. They were very cheap. Well, I think now, because my mom has to get a sleeping car whenever she goes because she can't sit for 3.5 days.
Yeah.
And I think it's like $2,000 round trip anymore from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to California and back.
That's so crazy. Well, look, I think they're taking their lead from airlines who are gouging all of us now more than ever. So now everywhere else, it's probably cheaper to take an Uber to California. It's just not. It's not okay. Now, here's a question for you. As bears of a certain age, because I've always loved road trips from when I was a kid all the way up. What do you find has changed now that you take a road trip now compared to before?
Well, I mean, I haven't found too much of change. I mean, all these toll roads they have these days, it's expensive now to
Midwest
do it.
has more of those than
there's a lot of these back here. I have to have hotels now before I could sleep in the car. I mean, remember when you used to take the road trip as a kid or when you were younger and you would just sleep in the car in a rest stop? Now, I don't know how it is out there, but half the rest stops they've closed here in Ohio and Pennsylvania. They're not even open anymore, so you don't have a place. But we would stop and sleep there and keep on going.
Now, I haven't found that. Now, when I drove from here to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I will say, sorry, people from Wyoming, you can please tell me if you listen from there, but I hate Wyoming. And it's because every single time I go through Wyoming, something horrible happens. And I'm just like, and so I was going to, this will tie into something that makes sense, but I was going to Tulsa. It was almost June, and there was a blizzard in Wyoming. A blizzard that was so bad you couldn't see in front of your face. And my partner at the time was driving like 80. And I'm asleep, and I wake up, and all I see is this. And I'm like, you realize you're not going to see the person in front of us till we're in their back seat saying hello, asking for cookies. I'm like, this is too much. So we had to pull over and sleep in Wyoming because of that. But the thing that I did like is on the border between Wyoming and I think, is Utah down that way? Somewhere. I know Colorado is, but I think it's Utah part. They have the nicest rest areas I have ever seen. They're like museums, and they're run by the Mormon church. And I was just like, what? I've never seen anything like it. You walk into a palace. So, I mean, and of course you have the statues of Mormon people. Right. So that's kind of weird, but you do you. But they were the nicest. I've never seen anything like it.
I love that. In Southern California, the Hare Krishnas used to run the rest stops.
Yes, exactly.
So, yeah.
You can still go to some beautiful like temples out there that they built, and I love going there, and they don't bother you
I
as much
lived
as
in
they used
Ventura, not too far south from Santa Barbara.
to. Yeah,
And so we'd go up and I'd go to Central California to wine country, Paso Robles, and all
yeah,
those places up there. And there's right past Santa Barbara, there's that one rest stop there that had all the Hare Christians, and they'd give you little flowers and free
right.
coffee. And we'd always stop there, but it was pretty funny just to see the
Yeah,
little Christians
listen,
around.
anybody who's offering free coffee, I'm there. I will do it.
Thank you.
But down in Riverside, which is south of LA, is the new wine area. And so I have spent too many a good weekend with friends that I barely remember, because you can tour all the wineries and then you're totally wasted. But I'm like, this is good stuff. This is good.
I want to go there. Like I said, I took the show to Palm Springs those 3 years, and I had a friend in San Diego. So I would drive from Palm Springs to San Diego, and that's right through all that wine country. Every other exit, wine this, wine. I didn't stop at any of them, but it's like, I want to
It's
go here. This
so
looks fun.
And if you take a group, it's just so fun to do that. And if you go down to Riverside, there is a winery down there that is owned by someone who used to work for Disney way back in the day. And so Disney has tried to sue him so many times because he has memorabilia he got there. And then his garden is set up with little Disney gnomes everywhere. And he got them fair and square, but Disney was like, you can't do this. And so, but it is the coolest. And they have a wine scavenger hunt out in the garden with all these things. Oh, I'm telling you, I was just talking to a friend of mine from California, Reed, if you're watching, hello. I love him to death. He makes me that's why I miss California. Those kinds of weird adventures. Yeah, it's fun.
Those are so fun. I love myself a good scavenger hunt. I had one for my 17th birthday that was the most fun birthday I've ever had in my life.
Oh, see, you need to repeat that. 17 is now over. You need a new one.
There you go. There you go.
We can make a sexy bear one. Let's do that.
Ooh, that would be fun.
My birthday's like in 2 weeks. It's coming up. I pay no attention. But let's make a scavenger hunt.
We've talked about that. Neither of us celebrate our birthdays too much anymore. Even though we're proud of being a certain age,
oh, yeah.
we don't need to celebrate it, right?
No, and I don't need to look at it in the face ever.
There you
so
go. Exactly.
I could be, this is how I gauge my age. How do I look in the mirror? Is my moisturizer working? Okay, we're good. Exactly.
I like it. Well, hey, we got to give a big shout out, and it'll bring us to a different direction here. But our buddies over at Surplus Men, they were featured as cover boys on Queer 40
which is
magazine.
a great magazine.
And, oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So good. Just for our demographic, it's a great magazine. Some great articles. Plus, they've now gone into Europe. I need to find myself a nice little French boy, I've decided.
Me
They're
too.
in UK now. They're in France. They're in Spain. So congratulations to Surplus Men.
Exactly.
I'm excited.
I know. And I'm so glad that we have anything to do with them, because that's really cool. Also, look at everybody go out Queer 40. Look at the cover. They are just handsome, cute cutie pies. They're just so adorable. Yeah, so
it's been great working with them. We're going to work with them more in the future here, of course. But I love Sir Men. We're both on it. Like I said, they're starting to get bigger now. I'm getting a few more people in my area. They still haven't done ads. I'm loving that. Of course, they're going to have to do that eventually to get the model to work like everybody else does. But I just love it. And I mean, apps in general now, there's so many of them there. I mean, we've talked a little bit about apps in the past, but any good or horror stories lately?
Well, this is two things. I was watching a friend of mine's who has a show, and it was so funny because they were talking about how apparently now Grindr is so passé, because this was my favorite complaint, because now people there want to have conversations. And
perish the thought.
It used to be a hookup app, and now it still is, but also, so the complaint was it's more dating. And so, have you heard of the app called Sniffies?
No. What is that?
Well, it's exhausting, is what I'm just kidding. It is basically what Grindr used to be. Like, there ain't no lot of conversation going on Sniffies. But it is, talk about efficient. If you want to be an efficient person, it is like that. And their GPS or whatever tells you is way too accurate. I will say that. It makes me uncomfortable. Like I feel like they could be in my house. Like there's a camera. It's like, but this is what I have to say. So, we have apps for everything now. Whether you want to date, whether you want to just have fun, and I'm fine. You do what you do. Whatever you are looking for, they're out there. So let's say you're This ticks me out so much. What has happened when you get hit up by a guy who's like, "You're super cute. I want to meet you right now," and you're like, "Well, I'm not 20, which is fine, but also I have a job that is business hours." So I get hit up all the time for people like it's like 10 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, I'm at my, what do you mean? What am I doing? Wait. So then I always have to age verify because I'm like, wait, if you have free time at 10 in the morning, my guess is life is either really rough or you're, 18 years old.
There you go. You're either getting up late for the college class or you haven't had a job in decades.
Right? And listen, if you're getting up late for a college class, I'm not saying that's not fun, but I'm telling you, remember that some of us have jobs that are business hours. So, because this is the other thing, they get pissed at you if you don't clear. I'm like, what? Are you paying my rent? Because you ain't paying my rent. If you are, we can talk. But you know what I mean? It makes me insane, and it happens all the time. Am I grateful that there are guys out there who are like, "Oh, let's get together. You're great." Sure, but you know what I mean? It just makes me crazy. I can't deal with it.
What kind of guys are on this new app you're talking about? I mean, we talked a couple weeks ago. Growler kind of has the true to form bears. Those guys are. It is what it is. Where
reality.
Wolf or what's the other one? God, I can't. Scruff has kind of the muscle bears and the people that are different, all from all over the world. What kind of is on this new app? What kind of people?
Everybody.
No.
Because it's so. Just go on there to get a quick fun time. I think that that is the common denominator that just evens the playing field. So everybody and their grandpa are on there. And I'm like, you do you. That's awesome. And I actually have, because it's me, I actually have people that I know there that we have conversations because that's just my thing. I can talk to anybody. But yeah, so and actually I heard someone else talking about it's picking up steam, like literally and figuratively. It's picking up steam so big. So you can just get it on your phone and it has a map and but yeah, they are the new Grinder. They are the updated version.
That is very interesting. Yeah. I'm just starting to spend a little more time on Growler. I mean, we talked on the live last week that they announced the new Bear magazine was from Growler.
Yeah.
So
did a live?
So we talked about that last week a little bit, but
we need to do a live on Growler. That's what
that would be fun.
Yeah,
that would be kind of fun.
Yeah.
They have that one guy that does it every Wednesday. Yes. And that's who announced the new Bear magazine we talked about last week. I think that would be kind of fun. We'll have to try that maybe one of
I do too. And I'm always looking for new sexy fan. Give me a little sassy time.
But it's also funny. I mean, I keep reading that, like you said, people are becoming friends on the app. So you're getting a lot more.
Which anymore, we don't even go out. You know what I mean? So I think this is, again, some ramifications of 2020. You know what I mean? That I feel like this is what happens.
Now, where are you at? I mean, we both can talk about sex, no problem and everything, but I'm still a shy boy and I don't like to meet people I know at places. I don't like the people I know find them on apps. I've been to a bathhouse where I ran into friends, just about ran out the door. I mean, how shy are you around other friends?
I wouldn't say I'm as shy as I used to be. I think in the old days, I was more like you. But having the kind of shows I've had for the last decade, it kind of, it's just not there anymore. It just doesn't matter. And I don't know why that has happened. I can't pinpoint, what it is, but I'm just like, and I think once you've done, 1,000 shows, and a lot of those have been about sex. I think you just don't. It just doesn't hit you anymore the same way. Not that I find sex boring by any means, but you know what I mean. It's like you're so used to it that you're just like, I don't. You do you, I'll do me, or you'll do me. Whatever happens, it's good.
I don't do vanilla sex whatsoever, but I don't like anyone knowing about it. I don't like anyone I know knowing about it. So
Which is
very...
an interesting thing. That's a true statement. I recently had the joy of talking to an author, Zachary Zane, who wrote Boy Slut. It was fascinating because if you read his book, it is, even for me, there are moments you're just like, what are you he just puts it all out there, but in the end it's kind of cool, and he's a really cool guy, and I think that is I will never be able to be shy again, ever. And I think it is in the shyness, like, I think everybody has their way of approaching it, but I think if we can get rid of that shame and that shyness, and we just act like this is not, Victorian era, that it's okay. Right. I love that aspect, and he is a proud boy slut. So.
He is the new incarnation. I mean, back in our day, remember Dan Savage started Savage Love, and that was kind of big time at the time. That was like provocative, and he would talk about a lot of things. He was very open in everything he talked about, but Zane is just like next level beyond.
It is, and what's so funny is they know each other, and I know Dan, and I've known him for a very long time, and he has that porn festival that is for amateur porn, and I've been able to host it before and be up there, and I still think he's doing things like that festival, and I can't remember the name of it, but he's doing things off to the side now, but his show is still amazing. Savage Love. Yeah, and so I do think Zachary Zane is like the next level. Do I think everybody's ready for him? No. Do I think we should get ready? Yes. You know what I mean? But Dan Savage is amazing.
Bisexual, so you get stories from both sides.
Oh, yeah.
You get it all, right?
Let's just side note. Can we just talk about Dan's husband, Terry, and how I'm in love with him? And when I did the festival, Terry had a film in it. And that made my life worse, because it's just like, he's just beautiful. It's just, and I also think what I love about what Dan does with that film fest is because it's amateur only. You put in they burn your submissions after the festival's over because they want people to be comfortable enough to do it. But I love because it makes, and so there's just a bunch of people in the audience. Some of them did the show. Some of them are there to view. And what I love is it is actively taking out of the stigma. I mean, they were just up there on that screen. There was a rumor when I did it that I was in one, which wasn't true, but I'm not against it. But it's crazy.
Did you start the rumor?
More things like that. What was that?
Did you start the rumor?
I didn't. I know. I was like, I missed the boat. I should have started this rumor, but no. It started, and it was Dan's producer who started it. I'm like, dude. But it's.
Now, have you ever been down to AVN in Las Vegas?
I haven't, and I hate that I haven't been there. I want to go.
I've been 1 year.
Yeah.
Maybe that's someplace we should go.
Yes,
that would be kind of fun. Yeah. But AVN is done every year in January. It's like second or third week of January in Las Vegas. Adult video news, network? Whatever. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah.
But it's adult video, and everyone is anybody in porn is there. Straight, gay, everybody is there. Chi LaRue was there the year I was there.
Wow.
That was big time.
Classic.
And it's just a fun-filled weekend. They usually do the AVN Porn Awards then. It's not like they do Cyber Socket. Where's that? That's Chicago, I think, or something. Yeah, I
think so, yeah.
Cyber Socket Awards.
I love Chicago, too.
But they do the AVN Awards in Vegas every January with that. And that's just a good time. But all the gay clubs have something going on and people popping in and doing things. We need to bring the show down to Vegas.
We do. I think we would have an amazing show down there. Yeah.
Oh, love that.
And I love it. They still going strong. They don't even have to pop a pill. It's just going strong. So.
There you go. I'm telling you. Oh, my goodness.
I love it.
All right, what else do we want to talk about this week? I mean,
Well,
there's so much.
has there ever been a time in your life when an app has turned into dating?
I'm trying to think. I think there's been 2 times I've wanted it to and has not.
Yeah,
2 times that I was interested in someone that I met on an app, and
yeah.
they were all about the hookup. But I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that's it. I haven't really ended up dating.
How did you
Uh,
meet the last people you've dated in your life?
Last person I dated was from one of the clubs in Pittsburgh.
See, you're
So
better
it's
at that than me. You say you're not a
yeah,
social, but you do it because I haven't been. I don't think I've ever dated someone who you know what I mean, who I actually met, who was at a social event. I don't think so. You're better at that.
well, it just like I said, I was the chairman of our Pride Center for 3 years, so I knew so many people around here. And like I've said before, I'm not real big into people knowing my business, so I would go to Cleveland and Pittsburgh all the time to find these guys, and
Right?
it was just an accidental dating. If it ever happened, it was accidental dating. It was more for the hookup at the time.
Right.
You didn't have to do
Accidental
that.
dating is sometimes the most fun.
It really is. It
Well,
really
this is what I used to say this all the time during the radio days. Because everybody was, especially then, cancel culture had been really picking up,
Okay.
And I remember telling people, listen, I'm just going to tell you right up front, if you want to find something that you think is scandalous, it's there. So go ahead and look. Because I think it's that whole thing about, like, when you're with someone who kind of is a jerk to you and they try
Right.
to embarrass you, the only way that works is if you show that you're embarrassed. So whether you're embarrassed or not, you don't let them see it. Otherwise, they'll keep coming in. So I started that
Right.
philosophy back then of, you know what? If you want to come after me, come after me. I have nothing to hide. I call it the Madonna philosophy. Put it all out there. And so that it doesn't matter what they say because you already said it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that's where it started for me to go, my life's my life. I don't need your approval. And I'm
Right.
tired of people having backwards ideas about sex. You know what I mean?
And we've talked about it since the beginning of the podcast that it's like the bear community is a whole different animal, right? We have those leather bars you can meet people.
Yeah.
You have more options. I mean, of course, there's the apps out there. The apps are
Yeah.
great.
Oh yeah.
But us of a certain age, we remember the old magazines. I mean, we remember Craigslist. We
Yeah.
remember the
I
leather
know.
bars. I mean, there was so many more options back at the
Yeah.
time. So I think we have a lot more stories to tell than all these little
Agreed.
young people today that only have the app.
Yeah.
I mean, and the funny thing for me is, I mean, we have a lot of young people. They go to the straight bars and they're able to hook up on people because there's 2 gay guys going to the straight bars and they
Yeah.
found each other in straight bars.
What about people who are able to make something happen when they're just in an Uber? What? Like the driver that. So I had a lovely gentleman who was a roommate of mine in LA, and he worked full time and he full time did Uber because that's the only way you can live in LA.
Right.
And he was like a master at turning a ride into a ride. And it was the craziest thing to me. I don't have that kind of game. That's not going to be me.
I've never had that kind of game, but I think it's fun. I like hearing about it. That is a blast.
Right? Well, if you had lived, I lived in a loft bedroom, so I heard a lot about it. Like literally. I'm like, I don't need to.
That's a little too open for me. I don't know if I could live up in the loft situation.
It is. I walked downstairs plenty of times into situations that I didn't need to. Yeah.
Portland, I think, is the last time when I lived in Portland, Oregon for 4 years. That's the last time I really had roommate situations.
Yeah. It isn't worth it.
There was another time since then, I guess.
I hadn't had roommates since college, and then you move to LA and you realize, oh, I have to have 5 roommates because I can't afford the rent. And I'll tell you, nothing makes you so grateful to move back to a place where you can just live on your own. Because I was like, this is not okay. It got so bad there. I would come downstairs, and one time things were going on, and I was handed a phone and asked to video. And I was like, this is not my life. This is not my life. But it was my life.
That is crazy. That is absolutely wild.
Yeah, but there's something to be said about living away from like the big metro areas like New York and like LA, because you have to sacrifice your sanity first of all, and who wants to be 40 and have 5 roommates?
Right.
It was hard. It was
What
hard. My
years were
brain
you in
couldn't.
LA? What years were you in LA?
Oh God, I moved down there in 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just had a guest on the Left of Straight show a couple weeks ago. Wrote a book about 1981, a big gay road trip he took
Yeah.
from Maryland all across the country and back.
Ooh.
And I really related to all the places that he went to in Los Angeles because he was there 81. I graduated in 82.
Yeah.
So it's like I kind of knew I was just starting to go out to those places. You could still, I had my mustache when I was like 14, so I was able to go to these places at senior in high school. I'd be able to hit all the places in LA. So we talked about all the clubs and everything down there, and it really brought me back to some of the places there.
Yeah.
And when I was able to live alone in that area after I graduated high school, and now I have friends, like you said, I have friends that are 28 to 40 years old that are paying 1,000 to 1,500 a month to have a roommate. It's like,
Right.
what?
Well, you
I don't
couldn't.
think so.
When I left, you couldn't get just a, what do you call those, loft apartments, or no, studio apartments. You couldn't get it for
Studios,
less
yeah.
than 2,300. I'm like, and it was the size of, it's like New York. It was the size of a closet, and that just wasn't, because it's such a fun place to live, such a good creative vibe, but who can afford it? I mean, they're going to sell you a lean-to shanty for $1 million. Like, this
Right.
is, it's, I, I don't love it. And let's be honest, look at all of my friends on the picket lines. It's because that entertainment industry has become so blinded by greed. They just want to
Oh,
price
yeah.
everyone out, and as long as they're making money, and it makes me sad because I loved it there. Loved it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've talked about on here before, and I talk about it on my Left of Straight all the time that I would love to go back to California, if
Right.
not just part time, but I cannot afford it. If I
Yeah.
sold the house here and moved there, I could get
Right.
maybe pay rent for a studio apartment for 5 years, and that's about it. And then I'm
Right.
done.
That's over. See, that's why people, when we do our Patreon, you should support us so we can live in LA
There you go. Exactly.
for at
And then
least
Johnny
two
and I
months.
will be roommates and pay 1,500 a month to be roommates and be able to
Right.
shoot every day from home. It'll be fun. That's when the OnlyFans will kick in. We'll both have some friends.
Exactly. The feet
It'll be
are
great.
waiting. The feet are just waiting to have pictures. But listen, I have had friends who, you mentioned OnlyFans. It's still big. It's still a big
Oh yeah.
thing for people. So you mentioned feet, still a huge fetish for people. People love it. And on the apps, you'll meet them all. And I'm like, you do you. Like, I feel very vanilla sometimes, even though I'm not. I feel it because I'm not into a lot of these new things. The other
Right.
thing is, my friend sells his underwear and makes so much money, he doesn't have to have a job.
Remember how big that was on Craigslist back in the day? I
Yeah.
remember seeing those ads all the time for
Yeah.
some reason.
Yeah, it still
I-
happens. And I'm just like, how did I miss this train? I
Well,
mean,
I mean, last week when we talked on the live, when we talked about your Seattle guy that you're in love with, I mean, he's OnlyFans. I mean, there's
he's,
OnlyFans everywhere.
and I'm not saying that I have seen his stuff, but I've seen his stuff. It's worth it. It is worth it. Yeah, and it's just fascinating to me. When I was at my heaviest in my early 30s, I was offered a porn, and I didn't take it. And now at 47, I kick myself.
Yeah, it's definitely an experience. It's something that I would have tried when I was younger. I
Right?
don't think I would do it now, but I think I
Yeah.
definitely would have tried it back in the day. And I mean, people are getting rich off this. We have all these young guys, and we've talked about it a little bit, I think, on this show. I'm not real keen on the gay for pay ones that are just making jillions of dollars off of us for
Don't.
having a fantastic body. I mean, you do whatever you can do, you be you, boo. But it's like I don't know if it's more jealousy or more you're ripping off my community. I haven't decided yet.
Yeah.
Probably more jealousy, but it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's an interesting commerce site
It's
anyway.
an interesting thing that goes out there. But I mean, I always think if everybody goes in fully aware of what is happening. And if that's how they want to spend their money, as long as they know, then I'm
Right.
like, go have a good time. Like, you're a grown person, so if you want to spend your money on someone who it's never going to be the thing. But if all they're there is to get a
Right.
little sassy, okay, you know what I mean. But I like for everybody to just be aware,
Right.
Yeah, that's my thing.
We'll have to, I mean, both those are great issues that we'll talk about in future episodes. We'll talk about housing for seniors because a lot of people, there's either LGBTQ retirement homes or you're
Yeah,
forced to live with somebody just because there's
yeah,
no such thing as pensions anymore. I mean, our age, kind of, we're 40 and up pretty much on this
right.
show, and a lot of the 40s to 55, there's no such thing as a pension anymore.
No, I
They've all
have to
been,
die at my desk. That is my only option in life. It's just work until I'm done. But
right,
you make a good. It is only within the last probably 20 years that this idea of retirement villages and for queer people has even been a thing. Because of course, no one thought of us before then, and so
right.
it's a fascinating. They're still not to the point they need to be, but there's way more than there used to be. I dated a guy who used to manage them, and it's just it's they've got a ways to go. You know what I mean?
Well, and it goes from the extreme, right? You got Wilton Manors in Florida that's at the top end of the extreme where all the rich gays go and everything.
Yeah.
And then you have, and Palm Springs is not cheap, but there's all sorts of levels of retirement homes there as
I was
well.
gonna
I mean,
say Palm Springs just in general is its own retirement village. So,
yeah,
and
kind of.
I'm okay with it because I would like to retire there. But I'm just saying, yeah.
Exactly.
Hmm.
That's always been my goal. I would love to find a place in Palm Springs to be half a year in Palm Springs and half a year out of the heat.
How
Wouldn't that be
beautiful would
nice?
that be? We could
Oh,
hang out with Colton Ford.
there you go.
Yeah,
Exactly, right?
yeah.
Oh.
I want to hang out with his posse.
Yeah, there's so many great people. I mean, Joe Deedle and from Where
Yes,
the Bears Are and Ben Zook are in
they're the
Florida.
sweetest,
And
cutest
you and
couple
I
ever.
were talking offline the other day about art. Joe's into art now and has an amazing art studio down there.
Exactly. Yeah.
And Ben does his comedy show. And it's like, there's so
It's
many
so
great people down there.
And of course, our beautiful friend Tom goes down there all the time. Tom Goss, absolutely love him. Yeah, there's so many great creative. I love that there's so many creative people. That's
Right,
why I love California. It's a vibe. It's an energy that you don't get everywhere. You know what I
right,
mean? Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, and you just there's so much to do. I mean, I'm not the person that goes out every night, but I'm the person where I'm not a good homebody person.
Yeah.
If I'm dating, that's a little different. Um,
Exactly.
I love to cook and I love to have game night and invite people over. And we'll talk about that next week. I think we're going to talk about food all in
Oh,
some
I have so
food.
many things I need to say about you next
Oh,
episode. Because yeah,
I do love my kitchen. I gotta say,
there
I
are
love it.
people that don't know things they need to know. So we're going to talk about that. But yeah, I mean, it's such a crazy world anymore. Don't you feel like I think we're still in a transition to
Right,
understand what it's like, which is not nice to us bears of a certain age. Because listen, we did all of our adjusting. And now you're going to ask me to adjust again. I'll do it. Don't get me wrong. But my gosh, it's changing again. The whole culture and society is changing again. You
it
know,
is, and I'd love to see things. Do you remember the days? I mean, I don't know if you did it this much, but I remember my days working this was primarily in LA when I was down there. But when every restaurant had happy hours and free food, huge buffets and everything, and you would just go
yes,
hang with people and have a $1.50 beer, and you could have an entire meal just there
exactly.
at the restaurants. Like the
I miss
Mexican restaurants did the best job of it. It's
right.
like
Well, and
$1.50 margaritas and
you know
taco.
how horrible it is? Well, I'm sure we all used to make fun of our grandparents for the things that we now do. And one of the things is I can still remember when gas was 99 cents. That was so long ago. I'm pretty sure it was 30 years ago. But I'm like, you used to be able to do so much stuff. Well, you
Well, we
mentioned this like,
talk about me being about 9, 10 years older than you. And when I first started driving, was when I remember you could only buy gas on odd or even days because there was a gas shortage. So you can only, depending on your license plate, what your number was in your license plate, you can only get gas every other day.
Oh my God, I
that.
don't remember that at all. I do remember leaded gas. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
You can't
exactly.
get that anymore anywhere. Yeah, there's a lot of things. And listen, and I love the things I can remember. But you said something a minute ago where you're like, remember the days where you could go out every night? As if you can do that now. I cannot do that now. No, I could barely go out a date. I'm like, no, I'm tired. I'm going home.
There you go. I hear that. Oh my goodness.
Listen, it
Well,
takes
we've
a lot.
had a fantastic talk for an hour about absolutely nothing. It's exciting to anyone else but us, maybe. But I hope you guys all enjoyed everything, right?
And we want to know their comments. What do you remember? Are you a bear of a certain age? What are things you remember back in the day that is not even near the same now? I'm sure we talked about a lot of stuff you can comment on. What's your favorite app? Do you like Sniffies?
We appreciate all the bear hugs and the things that are happening in our mail. We haven't even got to the mailbox this week. We have so much to talk about this week and next week that I don't even know if we all have time.
Which means plenty of time for people to send us mail. So bring it in. Bring it in.
There you go. All right, Johnny, it's been another great chat. Thank you, my friend.
I agree. Thank you. And also, we are proof that you can be friends from thousands of miles away.
Exactly. I mean, we become best buds over this thing, and we hope you guys enjoy tuning in and listen to us just talk silly stuff with each other because we have a lot of fun doing it.
Yes.
So thanks for listening to Bears of a Certain Age. Like Johnny said, we are on Instagram and Threads at Bears of a Certain Age. We are on TikTok from time to time, Bears of a Certain Age.
Yeah.
When we got a little video. And
you do a great job at keeping our TikTok up and going, though.
It's kind of fun. I enjoy doing it. It's growing slowly but surely. We'll see what happens here. All right, everyone. Podcastbears@gmail.com. Send us anything you want to talk about. Johnny and I will read your letters on air, and we like to hear what's going on. Ask a bear. Give us a bear hug to send to somebody. It's great talking to y'all. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Johnny, great talking to you, bud. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay.
All right, guys. We'll see you later. For Scott and Johnny, this is Bears of a Certain Age. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, it's Scott from Bears of a Certain Age. Surplus is here, the new gay dating app exclusively for us mature men. Johnny and I are excited to have them as our premier community brand partner right here on Bears of a Certain Age. On the Surplus app, where older is always bolder, available now on both Apple and Android phones. We hope you'll join us where you can get the app so you can meet the man.
Bears got the best of me, said bears.